Our old pal Dennis Prager is at it again.
There were undoubtedly many nice slaveholders in the South. If you had been invited to one of their homes, you would have been treated beautifully.
I was watching this informal debate on David Pakman with Dennis Prager and Destiny. As I was watching it, Dennis Prager said something about the American Medical Association that just didn't seem plausible to me. Here's what he said.
My columns, 25 institutions that the left is destroying, from the universities to the high schools to the elementary schools to the American Medical Association, which has announced that no birth certificate should list the sex of a child because we don't know what the sex is. The child will determine later. That's the American Medical Association, because the left has taken over the AMA. The left has taken over just about everything and destroyed everything, from the Boy Scouts to military recruitment, to music, to art, to architecture. Leftism is a shark. It's a destruction machine.
I guess it's from spending my time watching certain people. Some things they say just don't ring valid with me. So I stopped the playback and I looked it up. Normally when this happens, I find the person is somehow embellishing or obfuscating what is actually being said. This is one of the issues we face when we start with the conclusion. In this case, the conclusion Prager starts with is the left destroys everything. Usually, we form conclusions based on evidence. Prager, however, seems to have a conclusion, then looks for evidence to back that conclusion. When we do things in a cart leading the horse kind of way, we run into problems. These problems can sometimes make us read into something that isn't there, or in some cases, make up things to fit that conclusion. This seems to be the case with Prager as he talks about the AMA. His statement is, according to him,
the American Medical Association, which has announced that no birth certificate should list the sex of a child because we don't know what the sex is. The child will determine later.
Now, if you were to hear Prager say that and you believe what he said, it would seem that the AMA is no longer putting the sex of a child on any birth certificates because the sex isn't known until after the child decides what sex they are later. Based on what he said, that's the conclusion one would be justified in drawing. And that's why it's important in the age of disinformation to trust facts over people. He claimed the AMA said this. Let's go to the AMA and see what they actually said. This is from the AMA website, and this is a press release from June 16th, 2021. And if you scroll down, we'll find a section entitled Removing Sex Designation from Public Birth Certificates. And it reads, aimed at protecting individual privacy and preventing discrimination, the AMA will advocate for the removal of sex as a legal designation on the public portion of the birth certificate. Under the policy, information on an individual's sex designation at birth would still be collected and submitted through the U.S. Standard Certificate of Live Birth form for medical, public health, and statistical use only. The new policy aligns with existing AMA policy, recognizing that every individual has the right to determine their gender identity and sex designation on government documents. Now, when you read the paragraph, does it say that the sex of the child isn't known as Prager claims? No. It says that the sex is known and will be recorded through the U.S. Standard Certificate of Live Birth form for medical, public health, and statistical use only. Does it say the AMA will no longer be putting sex on any birth certificate as Prager claims? No. It clearly states that they are advocating for the removal of sex designation only on the public portion of the birth certificate. Will the child determine what their sex is later, as Prager claims? No. The sex is determined at birth and recorded for medical, public health, and statistical use. The child will have the ability to designate a gender and sex on public government identification forms. To be clear, whether you agree with the politics of this or not is largely inconsequential to this video. The point is to show the dangers of forming a conclusion, then looking for the evidence to back that conclusion. Had Prager had a mind clear of prior conclusions before reading this paragraph from the AMA, there isn't a scenario that I can think of that will allow him to assert things the press release clearly doesn't say. And that is the danger.